As Mandela Month draws to a close, we reflect on whether this time of the year has become a season of symbolic gestures rather than the pursuit of real change. While the 67-minute campaign plays an important role in honoring Madiba's legacy, what more can entities like businesses do to ensure that their day-to-day operations are driven by a deep, consistent commitment to people, purpose and progress? The Corporate Brand Director at SAB, Marsha Kumire, joins us now for more. Marsha, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Good evening, Zimbabwe.
Now, as Mandela Month draws to a close, many are questioning whether it's become a season of performative acts rather than a catalyst for sustained impact. So, from your perspective, has the corporate sector done enough to move beyond the symbolism of 67 minutes?
So, Simpiyo, I think that there are a few corporates that have definitely moved beyond just celebrating the day.
Yeah.
I mean, at SAB, we are celebrating 130 years of being an operating business in South Africa. And you can't necessarily survive that long unless you are anchored in doing good in the communities that we operate in. And as we've been reflecting as a company on what is the 130 years been about, it's really been about being committed to South Africa and its progress. And I think that is what Mandela Day is all about. And the corporates that are doing it well are ones that have it anchored in their day-to-day, and it's who they are and it's authentic and not just that moment on the 18th of July. And at SAB, what anchors us is really our 10 principles. And number 6, I think, is the one that resonates with the conversation that we're having today, which is really about growing with our customers and communities. And that really is important to us as a corporate, and it's who we are every day. And so I think when it's authentic and it's part of your culture, it then moves beyond just that one day as an activation and joining South Africa as we celebrate Mandela Day.
Right, right. And just considering that the 67-minute campaign has emotional and historical resonance, but is there a risk that it sort of allows companies to, I would say, tick the boxes of social responsibility while avoiding a deeper systemic contribution to development and equity?
I think the reality is sometimes that does happen. Where people just see it as a moment on the calendar, and it's like, it's Mandela Day, let's do something. But I think that the companies that are really, really anchored in doing what's right don't see it as just a day. And I'm hoping, and I think that people should be inspired and corporates should be inspired on how do you incorporate this into your everyday in the way that you do things. And I'm going to give you an example to just anchor on ways that companies could do it, and using the company that I work for. So we have the SAB Foundation, which its sole mandate is really to build and support entrepreneurs and social innovators. And that's not just once a year on the 18th of July, but that's an ongoing program. And it's really supporting them as they create jobs and really supporting them with investment, skills development. And these entrepreneurs and social innovators are really, really building communities. And that's another way that corporates could support and really be anchored in driving community versus just the day. So I think the risk is there, but I think very soon, and if you think of society, we're very quick to know and notice when people are not being authentic. So I think the more authentic you are, the better it is, and it's anchored in doing real good. And I think as a company, we should all want to do good all the time.
And I suppose what you've just said speaks to consistency. So how do you as a brand director ensure that SAB's commitment to people and purpose is not just seasonal, but rather embedded in the company's DNA all year round?
So it's part of our culture, Simpiwe, as who we are at SAB. I spoke to you about our principles. There are 10 of them, and we live these every day. The first one is actually we are owners, and being an owner at SAB means that you treat the company like it's your own, and which means that we constantly trying to do the right thing all the time. And I think that's what anchors us as a company on doing what's right and what's good. And so when we look at what we do at SAB, we always look at, is it rooted? Can we have the authority to speak on this? And are we really making an impact? And I'll give you an example. I think the last time I spoke to you, we were talking about the Moletele lime farm. That's a good example of where we are really, I think as a company, doing good business for ourselves, procuring limes, but supporting that community who have the land and we had the investment. And now this lime farm is fully fledged operating, supporting 1,200 families and also exporting. And that's just really who we are and not just lip service. So we really look at where does it authentically fit our business, but also are we growing the community that we're operating in? So I would say it's every day. I know it sounds cliche, but it really is how we operate at SAB.
Marsha, I actually wanted to invite you back to talk to us about that lime farm. I mean, it speaks to, the kind of philanthropic work that your company is doing in terms of making a difference in every piece, in every person's life. And having said that, let's talk about how should companies be held accountable for the social impact that they claim to make, especially during high visibility periods like Mandela Month. Are the traditional CSR reporting models enough, or do we need more radical transparency?
Oh, that's a good question. I think probably more.
Okay.
But I think the world is changing, simply. Where I think society is holding us accountable as corporates. It can no longer just be lip service. And also communities are remembering, and you, the media, also remember what we've said over time, and you're asking us the tough questions. So I think we do still need to have the reports, but make sure that the auditing is done correctly, and to make sure that the numbers that people are reporting on are valid and true. And I know that we do that. If I look at the foundation as well as SAB Sharp, another initiative we have around championing responsibility, we are audited independently to make sure that what we are reporting on is truth. And I think that it's consistent with what you see in the media. So yeah. I would say that South Africans are getting, we're smarter and are holding us accountable to the things that we say as corporates.
All right, Marsha, we're out of time, unfortunately, but I have so many questions, including, some of the tensions that you face as a brand director between driving shareholder value and staying true to deeper human values in your external messaging. And I suppose that speaks to what Mandela Month is all about anyway. But great chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much. Cheers.
Thank you. Well, that was corporate brand director at SAB, Marsha Kumire, joining us and talking to us about the efficacy of Mandela Month and whether it really stays true to its purpose.